Well, good morning everybody. Hope you're all doing fantastically well. It is Connor. Apologies, we're having to take it on the road. Yes, I do have a christening this morning. Can you believe that? A christening. I don't think I've been involved in a christening for the best part of 15 years. So here we go as a 31-year-old man. Do you have christenings anywhere else, everybody, or is it just over here? I'm not quite sure. So we're back here with you three things this morning, and yeah, as I say, it's going to be a quick upload. I want you guys to get your thoughts in the comment section below. Let me know what your three things were. We're going to be going over to the Patreon as well, of course, as always, looking at the comments this week and recording a couple of podcasts, of which I'm actually quite looking forward to. Okay, so today, obviously this video is sponsored by IPM Group UK. All your CCTV and security needs, keep it within the Leeds United community. Rick and the gang, make sure you keep it over there, everybody. Football prizes, make sure you get in your Christmas bundle and your Ow Tanaka merch for Christmas. Last batches, make sure you get that in. Okay, three things. First thing I learned yesterday was, on reflection, as much as you have to do these things because it's a reaction to the game. It's you're very emotive. You're in the moment. Of course you are. People expect to watch along. They want your immediate reaction after the game as well. So you're having to go in that. I've listened to what we said, and I think it's all pretty fair, with a lot of positives in there in terms of individual players, etc., etc. But what I will say is, in isolation, it's not a bad point. It's not a bad point. It's an improvement on last season. Leeds lost their 2-1. I think the big thing for fans is it's a collection, isn't it? It's a number of very similar performances away from home, which is the issue for most fans. It's not the fact that we've just drawn this particular game. I think it's the fact that it's a run of these away games, which is the problem. Leeds are seemingly struggling a little bit in these certain away games. Now, what is it? Is it the fact that Sheffield United are coming up against teams of which aren't playing maybe a low to mid block? I mean, what I would say is I don't think these teams are massively doing that a lot of the time. I thought Blackburn, it wasn't really a low block yesterday against Preston. Was it an out low block? Were we sort of struggling against them from that respect? I think they defended well, but in that first half there was 4-5 shots from Preston to our nil, or at least our nil on target anyway. So I don't think it was an out low block really, but as I've just mentioned with Sheffield United, they're coming up against teams like this as well. Teams aren't just completely changing against Sheffield United. They're defending deep if they are, but they're trying to hit Sheffield United on transition as well. So look, they're finding a way through with similar levels of quality to us. We've got to find a way through. As I've said, in isolation, is it a bad result? I don't think it is. It's not a terrible result. It's a point. I think it would have been a terrible result if we'd have lost. But that's football. But at the end of the day, we've got to improve. We've got to improve. The point is okay. And right now, everybody, did a bit of calculus yesterday, and it's 2.1 points per game. It sends us up. It sends us to the Premier League with this form. Of course it does. But what we're not taking into consideration there is a dip in form, of which we saw last season. As we mentioned on this channel, a lot of the one leaders are long-term thinkers. Are we going to go through a run like we did last season in January, which I think some of us are predicting at some point? I don't know. Or was that just an incredible moment in time? 10 winning, I think it was 10 wins on the bounce, wasn't it? Or is it going to be a little bit more difficult for Leeds United? Are we going to go through a barren period at the end where you get 3 wins in 11? We're hoping not, but you can't count it out. And why can't you count it out? Well, because it's a similar season, isn't it? It's a very similar season, what we're experiencing right now. Leeds with a high XG, Leeds missing big chances, Leeds still having that quality, not showing it all the time, not absolutely battering teams. Leeds still having problems when it comes to efficiency, and ultimately struggling on the road. It's a very similar season, but last season did see us numerically with a very good tally of points, even though we lost it towards the end, didn't we? So the trends are very similar, and that's kind of what we try work on here. But are you hoping that Leeds have maybe changed a little bit? Are you hoping there's a different dynamic? Of course, because ultimately we ended up third. But are the other two going to be as good. I don't know. Now Sunderland are back in the mix, aren't they? Obviously you got Borough getting the win as well yesterday. So it's all very muddy at the minute, and this would all be simply sorted out by, guys, I'm not talking about it. I mean, I mention standards and expectations all the time on the channel, but I'm not talking about Leeds winning 10 away games on the bounce. I'm really not. I'm just talking about in that ratio when we're looking at teams such as Blackburn, who are doing really well at the minute. We've got to talk about them at some point. Blackburn, Bristol City, even Swansea, you know, we're contextualising what we're talking about here. Millwall, Preston, I'm talking about like, you know, 50, 60% of wins in there. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying 100%. So let's contextualise it here a little bit. Okay, so what else have we learned? I have to say, I quite like Farke afterwards. He was talking about how dull Leeds were. He kind of had his excuses in there, like we all know. I mean, from Norwich, he's had his excuses in his back pockets of why they don't win games. And sometimes I'd love Daniel Farke to admit maybe that he got it wrong. That's what I'd really like him to do, substitution-wise, but he's never done that in his career. I think one thing he does struggle with a little bit is that accountability, and I'd love to hear that from him. If he just said in one game, look, that was my fault, that was on me. But it does seem to be a lot on the referee, on the players, not hitting their standard. And you know, I agree with fans to a certain extent when you look at that, because we're not hitting that level. We're not hitting the level. And the players, I have to say this, the players are ultimately at fault as well. You know, they're the ones going out and performing at a certain level, at a set level, away from home. And, you know, Farke's sending them out there. Clearly, I think sometimes fans are thinking Farke's maybe setting them out there with a message, maybe not even a message, just to go out there and win. And, you know, I'd hope he's not doing that as a seasoned coach at this level. And I don't think he'd be doing that. I believe he's not doing that. So ultimately, I'm behind the manager. But the manager has his faults. He really does have his faults. And I'm just hoping this doesn't cost Leeds ultimately, you know, in terms of timely substitutions, in terms of, you know, getting it right when it comes to squad selections away from home. I think that is massive. I think it's absolutely massive for Leeds, because I do think we're going to have a blip at home. I do think that will happen at some stage. At some stage we might come unstuck. It could be when Blackburn roll into town, which is now a huge game, by the way, a huge game in hand on us, and the 5 points off us. So they're right into the mix now, 6 clean sheets, and look at their away form, by the way. You know, how are they able to do it away from home and we're not? Is it because teams set up differently to Leeds United? I get that to a certain extent, but we've got the more quality, so it equals out. Do you know what I mean? It equals out. Some people talking about the away games, but guys, half the away games, we look at Preston, we look at Blackburn, we're talking 6,000-7,000 Leeds fans there, and it's not like it's a sold out away end. So it's not like the home crowd are completely outnumbering Leeds and swallowing us up here. So yeah, there's a lot of, when we're talking about Farke here, I understand the rest, but Preston were in Wales a day after. Leeds were playing at home on the Tuesday. So it was just a dull performance. I thought it was a dull performance by our standards. And this is the thing, you look at the Middlesbrough performance, was that an amazing performance? I don't think it was, but we get it done at home. And this is the problem, it's transferring that get it done just to away form. You know, that is what it is. You look at Sheffield United yesterday, terrible by all accounts against Plymouth, lucky against Plymouth, but getting it done away from home, getting it done. Poor against Millwall, getting it done away from home, you know. So it's just that ability to do that. And we'd all said at the start of the season, every single person said we don't want to be in a battle for second. And I'm not saying it's going to turn out like that, but as it's kind of going right now, it just feels like, and this leads me on to my third thing that I've learned, I'm gonna try be a little bit more manana about it. And if you guys don't know what that means, it's almost like chill out and, you know, tomorrow, we'll look at it tomorrow. And I think we've got to be a little bit manana about it, because it feels like this is how maybe Leeds are going to go throughout the season. We don't see a lot changing, do we, when we're looking at it, because, you know, Leeds play a certain way away from home. They select certain personnel. So will it change? I don't think it will. I ultimately don't think it will. So I think we're gonna straggle maybe the odd win there, draws away from home, but it means that our away form, 2.1 points per game, when your average away from home is like it is, which puts us 7th in the away table at the minute. it's just putting severe strain on that home form. Severe strain when we don't need it with the quality that we've got. That's the ultimate thing. We're having to get used to something that we don't really need because of the quality we've got. Look at the counter-attacking options we've got. That should be perfect away from home. Unbelievable away from home. You know? But it's all about selection. It's all about selection. When you've got the options, Solomon, Nonso, Aronson, Ramazani, Peru, Joseph, Bamford, if you want to throw him in there. These are big options at this level. Dan James, another one. You know, 7, 8 options in that attacking sense. And then you're looking at the midfield. I mean, what team brings on what we brought on yesterday? And there's complaints about, you know, fixture congestion and lateness of fixture, and where we've had to, you look at the players that we're bringing on. We're bringing Ethan Ampadu on. I understand that he's coming back, but I thought it looked better yesterday. Ampadu coming onto the field. You've got Verber on the bench. You've got Gila Voggi on the bench, a seasoned vet with X amount of Bundesliga appearances, I should say, under him. And people have been saying at some point they'd like to see him start in cup competitions, and maybe that can transition into you know, just general league appearances. The guy's like fifth choice, and he's got about 200-300 Bundesliga appearances under his belt. You know, going forward, you have Solomon, 60 grand a week, whatever it is, 50-60 grand a week coming off the bench. You've got Matteo Joseph. You've got 2 strikers coming off the bench. We should be getting this done. You look at the comparison of subs that they brought on, you know? So it's look, don't get me wrong. I think the referee was absolutely shambolic. If I'm to summarise what I've been talking about this morning in terms of 3 things that we've learned, I think does Farke have a clue? I think he does. I think he goes into these games and he has a plan. I think his selections, he's too wedded to it though. I think it's pretty obvious what he's going to put out away from home. And if I know what he's going to do, and if I know the style that Leeds going to implement in terms of just that pass, not being incisive enough, you know, not being sharp enough, you can change that quickly by putting different personnel in certain positions who are going to affect the game. That's how I look at it anyway, guys. But let me know what you think in the comment section below. Do Leeds even need to go out now and prioritise almost a central attacking midfielder? Really interested to hear what you think. We're going to be giving a little bit of a review of the Burnley game later on as well, everybody. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Check the instant match reaction out from yesterday. See you in a bit.